it's a hardware device that had the VPN built in and subscribed. I'd say about half the time I couldn't use it because some sites who really want to know who's coming to them know all the VPN IPs, and if you're coming from one, if you're using a VPN, you could be here in Chicago and come out of the VPN tunnel in Amsterdam or London or Hong Kong or anywhere that they have a thing. So if there are country code restrictions on things, they usually won't allow you to use their service from a VPN because they have no idea where you're coming from and things like that. And then the other thing is that routers actually have to allow VPNs through. And so I'd say half the time, maybe more, I would use the VPN, I'd launch it, it would drop. I'd launch it, it would drop because the routers just weren't configured to allow it through. So, it's not reliable to use. It's a great thing when it works, but it doesn't always work.
Well,
so,
the other thing I've heard is that if you're using a satellite link, that the latency is too long for VPN.
That could be, yeah, a lot of that. And so, if you're going to use your phone as a hotspot, there's two things to consider. Between your device and your phone, what's that security? And then between your phone and your service, what's that security? So between your device and your phone, if you're using iOS or Android 2 or above, it's just as good as at home. It's uses what's called WPA2 and AES, and right now that's the standard. It's a little bit broke, but it's the best we have. WPA3 might be coming out next year, and that'll help that. But so it's as good as at home. So then that leaves, how about between your phone and your carrier? Well, NISTA did a search on this, and if you turn on your phone and you look in the upper right corner, it'll tell you your carrier and then what kind of data you have. And so if you see LTE, you can be happy. That's good that's good encryption and stuff. If you see, and that's a fourth generation technology. And then there's a 2 generation, which is GSM, and a 3 generation, which is UMTS. And if you see UMTS, that's still okay. But if you see GSM, you probably don't want to use that as your modem. So it's good between your phone. If you see LTE or UMTS, you can feel good about that. And then Xfinity. I don't have Xfinity, so whoever does can tell me, what to, but what I understand is that when they give you service and they give you your access box, they have your network in there, and then they have an open Wi-Fi spot in there. And they'd like you to have them both going. And there's some concern that, if somebody hooking up to there can get into your stuff. And if they are truly 2 separate networks, then there's no communication. There's several different protocols that communicate among a network, but if they're really, and Comcast says they are, if they're 2 separate networks, then really there's nothing that anyone from outside is going to do that can get into your stuff.
But if I log in publicly to an Xfinity Wi-Fi network that doesn't have the lock on it, am I more at risk in that
Yes,
case?
yeah, you're back to that open Wi-Fi. And this is a great article. I won't go into it, but I'd recommend it. Again, it'll be on the slide. And you can see from its title, it's a negative article towards it. And basically, it wasn't so much negative from hosting it, having it in your home, but they brought up a lot of reasons that you want to think twice before you actually hook up to it from outside, before you use one.
Right.
So, and I'll leave that there. And how are we doing here? Let me talk about.
Oh, you're doing fine.
Did we do antivirus yet?
No. Not bad. That's good. LTE, baby. LTE.
So there's always a question, which is better, the operating system antivirus, or should I use a commercial one? And the current recommendation is to let your operating system do the full-time monitoring and protection and stuff, and then run, I was going to say something like Malwarebytes, but the recommendation is to run Malwarebytes. But if you have something else that you use that you prefer, just run some other scan from time to time. There's another thing Windows folks know on The second Tuesday, as part of the patch, you get this malicious software removal tool, and it just does a quick scan. But you can go in and do a deeper scan from time to time. If you just go to the search for MRT, and then one of the things that'll come up is this MRT program, and then just ask it to do a full scan. And it looks at, it looks at everything. It takes a long time though. It takes about, mine takes 4.5 hours, so
Wow.
5 hours, yeah. But once or twice a year, you might want to do that. And then
And that does something different from what Malwarebytes does?
I think
Or is it the same?
it's the same idea. This gets in places that others just really don't look at. And it only does it if you ask it. The quick scan doesn't do it. The quick scan kind of does what Malwarebytes does, although you can configure Malwarebytes to do a deeper scan as well. So, but Malwarebytes is a good one. I use that like every quarter or so. The reason for that is the way the commercial antivirus works. Have you ever heard of a man in the middle of attack? A man in the middle of attack, and that is something like if you've got a secure connection between you and the bank, someone, if they know how, can sit in the middle, or if there's, not if they know how, but if the security has some vulnerabilities in it, and they can watch everything you do. They get your username and password, and then they send you up, a log fill, but then they log in. So it's someone that sits in the middle and watches everything that goes by. And that's what the commercial antiviruses were doing. They would install a root certificate, and then they'd sit and they watch all your secure traffic go back and forth. The problem was that several of them got compromised, and so now bad guys were watching your traffic going back and forth too. And then in addition, as the operating system people figured out how they were being compromised, they'd fix it. One of the things was that this piece of information is always here, so let's randomize it. So let's not always put it here. Well, that broke the antivirus, so the antivirus turned it off. And so they put, we can't work this way, so they made it insecure. So there was this. This was a Network and Distributed System Security Symposium in 2017, and there was a bunch of universities, Mozilla, Google, Cloudflare, and they basically said nearly all, referring to commercial antivirus, reduce the connection security, and many introduce severe vulnerabilities. So, they recommend just letting the operating system.
So is this like that free Adaware does that? Those kinds of things? It introduces
I don't
a
know if
vulnerability.
that's one of them that was compromised, but yeah, that's how they work.
So let Windows software just do it.
Yes, yeah. And then run that Malwarebytes scan.
You're talking Windows Defender, right?
Defender, yeah. And Defender now, that used to be a joke a long time ago.
Right.
It's first rate now. It is right up there among the very best.
So they include Norton with Comcast now.
Oh.
So I should turn off Norton and turn on Windows Defender?
Yeah, that's the recommendation, yeah. Mhm,
Any
yeah.
difference between Windows and Mac?
Yeah, Mac is still kind of, security by obscurity. They have a firewall in there, but I forget what the breakout is. 90% uses Windows, 10% or 11% uses Mac. So the bad guys write to where they'll get the biggest return. They write to the 90%. Who's?
It's a big
I was gonna say, I bought a computer for my grandkids, and they were complaining about it not being very fast, and it was supposed to be fast. So I went over and I installed Malwarebytes on it, and it ran, and it starts out as a premium trial thing for 10, 15 days or something, then switches to manual. And the free one, you have to actually ask it to do the update and ask it to do the scan. Not a big deal, believe me. But I ran the first scan, and I was really surprised. The quarantine file had over 1,000 items. Wow.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 items, and there were many of them that were Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Really?
And so this machine was running Bitcoin miners all the time that it was on.
Yeah.
No
Holy
wonder
cow.
their graphics was low.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, should we continue or?
Yeah, or any questions, or
Yeah.
do you
Yeah,
have more that you wanna?
I got a question. A mortgage broker told me that a credit report that they do is a deeper dive than the one that you get for your free credit report. Have you heard about this? I don't even know what that means.
I don't know, but I did hear this. Now, since everyone's starting to freeze their credit reports, other places are starting to do what the credit agencies used to do, so people just go there now. You know, so it's like playing whack-a-mole, you know, it really is,
Oh.
you know. But as far as that, I don't know what they mean by a deeper dive. Maybe
What they
they
show
look
on a
at your
credit
security,
report?
they go through the credit report, and then maybe some security, not security, what do they call it, where, you know, they can find out all about your background type stuff, if you have any police reports and this and that type
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
So that might be what they're referring to? I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, the 3 or 4 sites you gave us should be enough, right?
Right now, those are the, I guess, 4 main ones now, yeah.
Okay.
Had enough, or want to talk about email?
Email, a question on email. I sent John some
Yeah.
screenshots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you wanna put them up.
Yeah,
I
I
get
will, yeah. I was gonna suggest that next, if we still wanted to keep on going. All right, so, email, we all know, we've heard, don't click links, and that's really good advice. If you receive an email and there's a link in there, see if you can't go there through a browser and find the same information that's in the link. Now, you know, I'm not talking about if you're signing up for something and they say, you know, we gotta send you this link and to verify who you are. That's fine, you know. And it's the same thing for attachments. If you ask someone to send you